What's going on, guys? Today I want to talk about target date funds versus index funds and why I prefer purchasing the index funds individually versus target date funds. So this is an example I have on Fidelity. This is the 2060 Fidelity Freedom Index Fund. Pretty much the idea with this is that you're projecting that the year 2060 is a year close to your retirement date. So as you can see here, the portfolio weight is currently coming in at 53% U.S. equities, 36% international equities, and then 10% bonds. So the thing with this, what the fund manager is going to do, as you get closer to that year of 2060, this portfolio is going to get shift from equities to bonds. And the reason for that is just to lower your risk per se and lower the volatility in your portfolio, just to be a little bit more conservative come retirement time. So with that being said, looking at the summary, the expense ratio is a big reason that I prefer to buy the index funds myself. It's very easy to do, I think, in my opinion. The hard part, I think, would be, over time, rebalancing your portfolio, right? So as you get closer to retirement, you're going to have to do manual things in order to kind of shift your overall allocation from equities to bonds. So, whenever I get closer to that point in my life, I may decide that, hey, I don't really want to do this. Let me, just invest into a target date fund where they do that for me. But, for, my personal experience so far, I'd rather handle that currently as I'm in my mid-20s. So that is one con. I'll compare it here in a second in a spreadsheet, but the expense ratio is a little bit higher. And then the other reason why is that the 10% allocation to bonds. Now, for my scenario, mid-20s, like I mentioned, I prefer to be 100% stocks if possible. My current job, I also have a pension, so I'm almost even allocating that pension to the bond allocation. I have to contribute to the pension, which is great, but I want to allocate, that portion of my portfolio to bonds. So for my situation, I don't want to be investing in bonds. Now, however, people can make an argument with the current market that a recession is coming or a bear market is coming. Stocks have been ripping up. The past year they're up 20%. Just everything is very bullish right now. So having more bonds in your portfolio could weather some of the volatility that we might be seeing in the future. Who knows though? But we may never have a big correction again. So, do with that as you will, and just kind of understand the reasoning for bonds. That's personally my perspective and why I think someone might want bonds in their portfolio. But really, it would only be for a short-term basis. But if you're long-term, then stocks are definitely preferred in my opinion. Just with inflation stuff, bonds are gonna probably keep up with inflation or be pretty close to it, where stocks probably have definitely much greater potential to beat it. Okay, so briefly looking at, the spreadsheet here, I kind of wanted to illustrate as far as the expenses go, if you just purchase these two funds yourself, what that might look like. So, in this allocation currently, I think it's like 53% US equities and like 39% international. So that's kind of how that's allocated here. But here's some examples. So if you had a 60-40 split, your expense ratio would be only 0.33. If you had a 70-30, you would only be paying 0.285. And then if you had 80-20, you'd be paying close to 0.024. So, FSKAX is the total US equity index. It's 0.015, so it's very cheap. This one's a little bit more expensive at 0.06. But yeah, so that's kind of how those compare there. And yeah. And then lastly, I kind of wanted to look at this guy's tweet here. He was talking about, the vast majority of his portfolio is 80-20. But the cool thing about this is that, I definitely, I like international exposure. A lot of people, just have always been US and that's fine too. I just, long-term, the US, short-term last 10, 15 years, US has been pretty dominant, but I think international is going to catch up, and I think it'll outperform US in the future. So for at least some point in time, right? So there might be, 5-10 years where international does better, and that's kind of what I'm making on. So that's going to be it for today's video. Hope you got some value from it. Please like and subscribe down below.